The evening shift at Rosie's place was usually quiet. Katie Morrison wiped down the counter and glanced at the clock. 7:30. Only 2 more hours until closing time. The small diner sat at the edge of the spaceport district, where ships came and went every day. Most customers were human travelers grabbing a quick meal before their next flight. The door chimed. Katie looked up and froze. 4 massive figures ducked through the doorway. They had to bend low to fit. Each one stood at least 8 feet tall, covered in scales that shimmered like oil on water. Their faces were long and angular, with golden eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. Horns curved back from their heads. They wore dark uniforms with strange symbols on the shoulders. Drakari, dragon warriors. Katie had seen pictures in her xenobiology textbooks, but never in person. The other customers stared. One family quickly paid their bill and left. Katie forced herself to move forward with menus in hand. Her heart hammered in her chest. "Table for 4?" she asked, proud that her voice didn't shake. The lead dragon looked down at her. His scales were deep blue with silver edges. A long scar ran across his snout. "Yes, we require sustenance before our ship departs." Katie led them to the largest booth, which still seemed too small. The dragons settled in carefully, their tails curling around the edges of the seats. She handed out menus and tried not to stare at their claws. "I'll give you a few minutes to decide," she said. "We will have your largest protein offerings," the blue dragon said. 4 of each. Katie nodded and hurried to the kitchen. She called out the massive order to Pete, the cook, who whistled low. "Dragon warriors, huh? Don't see them much around here." "They're huge," Katie whispered. "And kinda terrifying." "Just treat 'em like any other customer. They're people too, just scaly people." Katie brought out water glasses and tried to calm her nerves. The dragons spoke to each other in their own language, a mix of growls and clicks that sounded both beautiful and dangerous. She caught herself staring at the patterns on their scales. Each dragon had different markings, like natural tattoos. But there was something else. Actual tattoos, glowing faintly on their arms and shoulders. The blue dragon had several, but one caught her eye. It was on his left shoulder, a spiral pattern that wove through star-like dots. The design seemed familiar somehow. Katie set down the water and couldn't help herself. "Excuse me, sir, that tattoo on your shoulder, or what does it mean?" The blue dragon glanced at the marking. "It is a battle honor. Very old." Katie's mind raced. She had seen that pattern before, recently. Where? Then it hit her like a punch to the stomach. Her mother. Her mom had the exact same tattoo in the exact same place. "My mom," Katie blurted out. "My mom has a tattoo exactly like yours." The table went completely silent. All 4 dragons turned to stare at her. The blue dragon's eyes narrowed. "What did you say?" Katie felt her face flush. Maybe she shouldn't have said anything. "I'm sorry. It's just, my mother has that same symbol on her left shoulder, the spiral with the stars." "That is impossible," the dragon said slowly. His voice had gone very quiet. "This mark is only given to warriors who survived the burning fields of Krathnor. It is one of the highest honors among my people. No human has ever earned this mark." "I know what I saw," Katie said. Her hands trembled slightly. "It's exactly the same." A red-scaled dragon leaned forward. "You are mistaken, human girl. Perhaps your mother has something similar, but not the same. This is sacred. I can show you." Katie pulled out her phone. Her fingers fumbled as she scrolled through photos. There, a picture from last summer at the beach. Her mom in a tank top, smiling at the camera, the tattoo clearly visible on her shoulder. Katie held out the phone. The blue dragon took it carefully between 2 claws. His eyes widened. He showed it to the others. All 4 dragons began speaking rapidly in their language. Their tails lashed back and forth. "Where is your mother?" the blue dragon demanded. "Where is she now?" "She lives about 20 minutes from here." "Why? What's wrong?" The dragon stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. The other customers jumped. Pete stuck his head out from the kitchen. "We must speak with her, immediately." Katie backed up a step. "I don't understand. It's just a tattoo." "No." The dragon's voice was like thunder. "It is not just a tattoo. If your mother truly bears this mark, then she is connected to events from 25 years ago. Events that changed the course of the war. Events that cost many lives and saved many more." Katie's mouth went dry. Her mother had always been quiet about her past. She knew her mom had been a colony surveyor when she was younger, working on distant planets. But her mom never talked about the details, said it was boring work, just mapping terrain and taking samples. "I can call her," Katie offered. "Yes, do that. Tell her Commander Vexthai of the 7th Fleet requests her presence. Tell her—" He paused, his eyes fixed on the photo again. "Tell her the survivors of Krathnor are still alive. And we remember." Katie's hands shook as she dialed. The phone rang 3 times before her mother answered. "Katie, what's wrong? You never call during your shift." "Mom, you need to come to the diner, right now." "Honey, I'm in the middle of—" "Mom." Katie glanced at the 4 dragons, watching her intensely. "There are Drakari here. They saw your tattoo, the one on your shoulder. They say they need to talk to you about something that happened 25 years ago. Something called Krathnor." There was a long silence on the other end. When her mother spoke again, her voice had changed completely. It was harder, older somehow. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. Don't let them leave." The line went dead. Katie lowered the phone and looked at Commander Vexthai. "She's coming." The dragon nodded slowly. "Good. We have waited a long time for this day, though we did not know it would come. Your mother, Katie Morrison, is either an imposter who wears a sacred mark she did not earn." He paused, his golden eyes boring into hers. "Or she is one of the greatest heroes my people have ever known." Katie sank into the nearest chair. Her quiet evening shift had just turned into something she couldn't begin to understand. And her mother, the woman who made breakfast every morning and worked in the colony planning office, had secrets that dragon warriors traveled the stars to uncover. All she could do was wait. The 15 minutes felt like hours. Katie served the dragons their food, though none of them touched it. They sat in absolute silence, watching the door. Commander Vexthai had his claws resting on the table, tapping slowly. The sound made Katie's nerves even worse. Pete kept peeking out from the kitchen. The few remaining customers had left. It was just Katie, Pete, and 4 massive dragon warriors waiting for her mother. When the door finally opened, Katie almost didn't recognize the woman who walked in. Linda Morrison was 52 years old, with graying brown hair usually pulled back in a simple ponytail. She worked in the colony planning office, lived in a small house on Maple Street, and spent her weekends gardening. She was the most ordinary person Katie knew, but the woman walking through the door now moved differently. Her shoulders were back, her stride confident and measured. Her face showed no fear, even staring at 4 armed Drakari warriors. Her eyes went straight to Commander Vexthai. The dragon stood slowly. For a long moment, neither spoke. "You're alive," Vexthai said finally. His voice was barely a whisper. "So are you," Linda replied. "I wasn't sure any of you made it out." The dragon pressed his clawed fist to his chest and bowed his head. "Because of you, 217 warriors survived. I was among them. I was young then, barely past my training." Linda's expression softened. "You were the one with the broken wing. I remember. You kept fighting even though you couldn't fly." Vexthai straightened up. "Sit. Please. We have much to discuss." Linda slid into the booth across from him. Katie quickly brought coffee without being asked. Her mother took it with a small nod of thanks but never looked away from the dragons. "What happened, Mom?" Katie asked. "What is Crathnor?" Linda sighed deeply. "It's a planet. A dead world on the edge of the outer rim. 25 years ago, I was part of a survey team. Just 3 of us. Me, Alex Grant, and Emma Hayes. We were mapping uninhabited systems, looking for mineral deposits. Our ship had engine trouble," Linda continued. "We dropped out of faster-than-light travel in an uncharted system to make repairs. We picked up distress signals from the 4th planet. Against protocol, we decided to investigate." Vexthai picked up the story. "My battalion was pinned down. The collective had ambushed us during a training exercise. We were outnumbered 10 to 1. Our communications were jammed. No one knew we were dying there." "We saw the battlefield from orbit," Linda said quietly. "Hundreds of these machines. Collective drones. They were swarming over dragon positions. We knew we should leave. Report it to the authorities. But by the time help arrived, everyone down there would be dead." Katie leaned forward. "So what did you do?" "We went down," Linda said simply. "Our survey ship had mining lasers, not weapons. But Alex was brilliant with systems. He rewired everything we had. Emma was a pilot, one of the best. And She paused. "I was just stubborn." A smaller dragon with green scales spoke up. His voice was rough. "Your ship appeared like an angel from the sky. The collective turned half their forces toward you, thinking you were a supply ship. It gave us time to regroup." "We fought for 3 days," Linda said. "We'd swoop down, fire everything we had, then retreat before they could lock on to us. Emma kept us alive with her flying. Alex kept the weapons running even when they should have exploded. I handled communications and targeting." Vexthai's eyes glowed brighter. "On the 3rd day, the collective brought in their shield generators. Massive things. They created a dome over our position. We couldn't escape. Your weapons couldn't penetrate it. We prepared to die with honor." "That's when I made a choice," Linda said. She stared at her coffee cup. "The collective shields ran on a specific frequency. Alex figured it out. If we could create a strong enough electromagnetic pulse right next to the generator, it would overload the whole system. But to do that," Vexthai said softly, "you would need to fly directly into the shield and detonate your ship's reactor, a suicide mission." Katie's hands covered her mouth. "Mom, I sent Alex and Emma to the escape pods first," Linda said. "I programmed the ship to autopilot toward the generator while I ran for the last pod. The timing had to be perfect." Her voice cracked slightly. "I almost made it. The ship exploded while you were still on board," Vexthai said. "We saw it. The blast destroyed the shield generator and disabled half the collective forces. We broke through their lines and escaped. When we searched the wreckage afterward, we found pieces of your ship." "We found the escape pod you were supposed to use. It was empty but damaged. We found no bodies." "The pod ejected during the explosion," Linda explained. "It was half destroyed, spinning out of control. I managed to stabilize it enough to crash land on a moon in the system. I was hurt badly. Broken ribs, concussion, burns. I survived on emergency supplies until a passing freighter picked up my distress beacon 3 weeks later." "By then you were listed as dead," Vexthai said. Linda nodded. "The freighter captain took me to a human medical station. When I recovered, I found out Alex and Emma's pods had malfunctioned. They didn't make it. The military classified the whole incident. They didn't want to explain why civilian surveyors had engaged in combat. They told me to never speak of it. I was given a small pension and told to disappear." "So I did," Linda continued. "I settled here. Got a quiet job. Tried to forget. But I couldn't forget you. Any of you. I kept the tattoo as a reminder." The red dragon made a choking sound. "Tattoo? You do not understand. That is not a mere tattoo." Linda looked confused. "What do you mean?" After the battle, we performed a sacred ceremony, Vexithai explained. In Drakari tradition, warriors who save others through ultimate sacrifice are honored beyond death. We built a memorial, we recorded your names in our Hall of Heroes, and we performed the Rite of the Marked. The rite uses venom from a Krathnor battle serpent, the Green Dragon added. It is mixed with quantum-entangled particles and ceremonially applied to the fallen warrior's body. It bonds with their DNA, creating the mark. This mark is only given to the greatest heroes. But you were not there, Vexithai said. We performed the rite on a memorial stone, speaking your names to the stars. The mark should not have appeared on your body, it is impossible. Linda slowly pushed up her sleeve. The tattoo glowed faintly in the diner's light, exactly like the ones the dragons wore. I woke up in the medical station with this on my shoulder. I thought maybe the explosion had burned it into my skin somehow. You're saying it appeared because of your ceremony? Quantum entanglement crosses any distance, the Red Dragon said. When we marked the stone in your honor, the mark appeared on you because you still lived. The universe itself recognized your sacrifice. Katie's mind reeled. This is insane. It is unprecedented, Vexithai agreed. In 10,000 years of Drakari history, the mark has never appeared on someone who was not present for the rite, and never on an alien species. What does this mean? Linda asked. Vexithai stood and bowed deeply, a gesture of ultimate respect. The other three dragons did the same. It means you are Drakari in spirit, if not in body. It means you are a hero of our people. It means the statues we built in your memory are not enough. You must come to our homeworld. You must be recognized properly by our High Council. You must take your place among the honored. Linda looked at Katie, then back at the dragons. Her quiet life had just ended. By morning, 3 Drakari warships had entered orbit around New Haven. The entire colony was buzzing with questions. Dragon warriors rarely came to human worlds, and never in such numbers. The news channels showed footage of the massive vessels hanging in the sky like dark stars. Katie sat in her mother's kitchen, drinking her 4th cup of coffee. Neither of them had slept. Commander Vexithai and his warriors had left the diner late at night, but promised to return. Linda had barely spoken since they left. I need to tell Jake, Linda said suddenly. She was staring out the window at the morning sky. Your brother deserves to know. He's stationed at the Beta Centauri base, Katie said. That's 2 weeks away by regular ship. I know, but I need to tell him before I make any decisions. A knock at the door made them both jump. Katie looked through the window and saw a man in a military uniform, a woman in a business suit, and 2 armed soldiers. Mom, Katie whispered. I think the government is here. Linda opened the door calmly. Can I help you? The man in uniform stepped forward. Mrs. Morrison, I'm Captain Ben Walker, Human Military Liaison. This is Ambassador Mia Collins. We need to speak with you about the situation that's developed. Linda gestured them inside. The soldiers stayed on the porch. Katie offered coffee, which the ambassador accepted gratefully. Let me be direct, Captain Walker said. The Drakari have requested that you travel to their homeworld. This presents a diplomatic complication. How so? Linda asked. Ambassador Collins set down her cup. The Drakari and humanity have a working relationship, but it's delicate. We trade, we respect borders, but we're not allies. They're difficult to understand, very focused on honor and tradition. This situation with you is unprecedented. What the ambassador means, Walker added, is that if you go, it could change everything. The Drakari see you as one of their heroes. That gives you political power. You could speak in their councils, make requests. They'd be obligated to honor you. And you're worried I'll say something the government doesn't want me to say, Linda replied flatly. Walker had the decency to look uncomfortable. The incident 25 years ago was classified for good reasons. If the full story comes out, there will be questions. Why were civilians in that sector? Why did the military cover it up? Why were Alex Grant and Emma Hayes listed as simple accident victims instead of heroes? Because it was easier, Linda said. Her voice had gone cold. Easier than explaining. Easier than admitting that 3 surveyors did what a military response team should have done. I'm not here to debate the past, Walker said. I'm here to tell you that refusing the Drakari invitation could be seen as an insult. But accepting it comes with responsibilities and dangers. What kind of dangers? Katie asked. Ambassador Collins looked at her. The Drakari have enemies. Some of those enemies might see your mother as a target. Additionally, there are political factions within human government who might try to use this situation for their own gain. Your mother could become a pawn. I've been a pawn before, Linda said quietly. When you made me disappear and stay silent for 25 years. The room went silent. Captain Walker cleared his throat. Mrs. Morrison, I understand your anger. But I need you to think carefully about this choice. It's not just about you anymore. A loud rumble shook the house. Everyone rushed to the windows. A Drakari shuttle was landing in the street outside, much to the shock of the neighbors. Commander Vexthai emerged, followed by another dragon in elaborate armor covered in even more tattoos. The new dragon was older, with silver-gray scales and scars across his snout. He walked with the bearing of someone used to command. When he reached the door, he waited politely for Linda to open it. Mrs. Morrison, Vexthai said. This is Admiral Saren Koth, High Commander of the 7th Fleet. He has come personally to extend the invitation. The Admiral's voice was deep and resonant. Linda Morrison, the name is carved in stone on our world. We have honored your memory for 25 years. Finding you alive is a gift from the universe itself. He did something that made Captain Walker gasp. The massive dragon knelt on one knee, his head bowed. I was there, at Krathnor. I commanded the battalion. I sent young warriors into a trap. I was prepared to die with them. You and your crew saved us. You saved my soldiers. You saved me. Linda's eyes were wet. You don't need to kneel. In Drakari culture, when someone saves your life, you owe them a debt that can never be fully repaid, the Admiral explained. 217 dragons owe you that debt. Many of them now lead fleets and command worlds. Your actions change the course of our people's future. But I didn't do it for reward, Linda said. We did it because it was right. That is precisely why you must be honored, Sarenkoth replied. True heroism expects nothing in return. The mark on your shoulder is proof that the universe recognizes this truth. Ambassador Collins stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, this is a complex situation for humanity. We need time to discuss the implications. The Admiral stood to his full height. With respect, Ambassador, this is not a human matter. Linda Morrison bears the mark of Krathnor. In our law, that makes her Drakari in honor, if not in blood. She has rights under our traditions that supersede your political concerns. What kind of rights? Katie asked. She can speak in our High Council, Vexthai explained. She can request audience with our Emperor. Her words carry weight equal to our greatest generals. No Drakari can refuse her a reasonable request. Walker looked alarmed. Admiral, surely you see how this could be misused. Your government covered up her heroism and silenced her for decades, the Admiral interrupted. His voice had gone hard. Do not speak to me of misuse. We honor our heroes. We do not hide them. The tension in the room was thick. Linda stood in the center of it all, looking tired and small compared to the massive dragons. Can I ask a question? She said softly. Everyone turned to her. If I come to your world, if I accept this honor, can I ask that Alex Grant and Emma Hayes be honored as well? They died in that pod malfunction, but they fought beside me. They deserve recognition. Admiral Sarenkoth's expression softened. They are already honored, 3 statues stand in our Hall of Heroes. 3 names are carved in starstone. We have never forgotten any of you. Linda wiped her eyes. Then I need to make a choice. Katie, can you help me? Katie grabbed her mother's hand. Whatever you decide, Mom, I'm with you. Linda looked at the Admiral, then at the government officials, then back at her daughter. I'll go to your world, Admiral, not because I want political power, not because I'm running from the government, but because Alex and Emma can't speak for themselves anymore. Someone needs to stand in that hall and remember them properly. If that's me, then I'll do it. And I'm going with her, Katie added firmly. Katie, you have school, Linda started. Mom, you're about to fly across the galaxy with dragon warriors to be honored on an alien world. I'm not missing that. Besides, someone needs to make sure you're okay. Admiral Sarenkoth smiled, showing many sharp teeth. Your daughter has a warrior's spirit. She will be welcome. Captain Walker looked like he wanted to protest, but Ambassador Collins put a hand on his arm. She looked at Linda with something like understanding in her eyes. If you're going to do this, the ambassador said, then do it right. Remember that you represent humanity, whether you want to or not. Be honest. Be yourself. That seems to be what impressed them in the first place. How long will we be gone? Katie asked. The journey to Krathvesh takes 1 week at Drakari speeds, Vexthai said. The ceremony itself will take 3 days. You will be home within a month. Linda nodded slowly. Then I need to make some calls, pack some things, say some goodbyes. We will return tomorrow at dawn, the Admiral said. Prepare as you need. This journey will change your life, Linda Morrison. But then, you changed ours long ago. After the dragons left, Katie and Linda sat in silence for a long time. The government officials had also departed, leaving warnings and offers of support that both women ignored. Are we really doing this? Katie finally asked. Linda laughed, a sound somewhere between joy and disbelief. Apparently we are. God help us. Katie squeezed her mother's hand. Whatever came next, at least they would face it together. The Drakari flagship was unlike anything Katie had ever imagined. The ship was massive, with corridors wide enough for dragons to walk side by side. Everything was carved from dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Glowing symbols marked doorways and walls, pulsing gently like breathing. Linda and Katie shared quarters near the medical bay. The room was sparse but functional, with beds designed for humans brought in specially. Commander Vexthai visited them the first day to explain the ship's layout and customs. Meal times are communal, he explained. You will eat with the warriors. It is how we build trust and unity. Do not be afraid to speak with them. They are curious about humans, especially about you. That evening, Katie and Linda entered the dining hall. Conversation stopped. 50 dragon warriors stared at them. Katie's courage almost failed, but Linda walked forward with her head high. She chose a table and sat down. Katie followed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the dragons stood. They pressed their fists to their chests and bowed their heads, the gesture of respect. When they sat again, conversation resumed, but Katie noticed the warriors kept glancing at them. A young dragon with bright green scales approached their table nervously. Excuse me, may I sit? Of course, Linda said. The dragon sat carefully, arranging his tail. My name is Kresh. I'm a pilot. I wanted to thank you. My father was at Krathnor. He survived because of you. He told me stories about the human ship that fought like a mad thing, never giving up. I always thought they were just stories, but you are real. Katie saw her mother's eyes glisten. What's your father's name? Theron. He commands a cruiser now in the 3rd Fleet. I don't remember individual names from that battle, Linda admitted. Everything was chaos, but I'm glad he made it. I'm glad you exist because of it. Kresh ducked his head. My father says I have your courage to thank for my life. I am honored to meet you. More dragons came to their table throughout the meal. Each one had a connection to Krathnor, a daughter whose mother had survived, a student whose teacher had been there, a warrior whose entire family owed their lives to that battle. Katie began to understand the scope of what her mother had done. On the third day of the journey, Admiral Sarenkoth summoned them to the medical bay. A dragon in white robes was waiting. Her scales were pale blue and she wore multiple honor marks. This is Dr. Xena, the Admiral said. She wishes to examine your mark, if you permit it. Linda agreed. The doctor used strange instruments that hummed and glowed. She took samples of Linda's blood and skin cells near the tattoo. When she finished, her expression was troubled. Impossible, Dr. Xena muttered. Completely impossible. What is it? Katie asked. The doctor showed them a screen with complex data. The mark is not a tattoo in the traditional sense. It is composed of quantum-entangled particles bonded to her cellular structure. These particles should not exist in a human body. They should have killed her instantly. But I'm fine, Linda said. More than fine, the doctor replied. The particles have integrated with your DNA. They are enhancing your cellular repair mechanisms. You are aging more slowly than a normal human, perhaps 20% slower. Katie's jaw dropped. Mom, you're basically not aging? The battle serpent venom from the right should be fatal to all non-Drakari species, Dr. Xena continued. But somehow your body not only survived the exposure, it adapted. The venom created antibodies. And because you are her daughter, she turned to Katie. You may have inherited some of this resistance. What does that mean? Katie asked nervously. It means, Admiral Sarenkoth said quietly, that your mother is even more unique than we realized. And it means you, Katie, may carry something in your blood that is valuable beyond measure. Commander Vexthai entered the medical bay suddenly, his expression urgent. Admiral, we have received a priority communication. Multiple distress calls from the border colonies, both human and Drakari settlements. The collective? The Admiral asked sharply. Yes, sir. They have returned, in greater numbers than before. The mood on the ship changed immediately. Warriors rushed through corridors, preparing weapons and armor. Katie and Linda were escorted back to their quarters by Vexthai. What's happening? Linda demanded. Vexthai's expression was grim. The collective are biological machines, ancient weapons from a war millions of years ago. We thought we had driven them back 25 years ago, but they have returned, evolved. They are attacking our colonies and yours. Why? Katie asked. What do they want? They are following their original programming, Vexthai explained. They were created to destroy the ancestors of the Drakari. They still seek to eliminate us, but recently they have begun attacking humans as well. Linda's face went pale. They're targeting humans now? Why? We do not know. The attacks began 6 months ago, small at first, then growing. Our scientists have been studying the pattern, but we do not understand it. Katie's mind raced, connecting pieces from her xenobiology studies. Do humans and Drakari share any genetic markers? Anything that might look similar to these machines? Vexthai tilted his head. We share some basic amino acid structures, but that is common among carbon-based life. Why? Because if the collective are machines following old programming, Katie said excitedly, they might not be very smart. They might just be targeting anything that matches a certain genetic profile. If humans are similar enough to Drakari, the collective might think we're the same thing. Dr. Xena, who had followed them, made a clicking sound of surprise. That would explain the pattern. The humans they attack are from colonies near Drakari space, the ones who have had the most contact with our people. "This is a theory worth investigating," Admiral Sarenkoth said. He had joined them in the corridor. "But it must wait. We are receiving reports of a massive collective fleet. They are heading for Krath Vesh, our home world." The ship around them hummed as engines increased power. Warriors rushed past, preparing for battle. Katie grabbed her mother's arm. "They're going to attack while we're on the way there?" "They may not know we are coming," the Admiral said. "Or they may not care. The collective do not think as we do. They simply execute their programming." He looked at Linda. "I must ask something difficult. Will you fight again, not as a hero being honored, but as a warrior defending our people?" Linda's expression hardened. Katie saw the woman from the stories, the one who had faced impossible odds and never backed down. "What do you need me to do?" "Your blood contains antibodies to the collective's targeting system," Dr. Zena said. "If we can synthesize them quickly enough, we might create a weapon, something to disrupt their coordination." "How long would that take?" Katie asked. "Days, maybe a week. We would need extensive samples and testing." "We don't have a week," Vexthai said. "The collective fleet will reach Krathvesh in 4 days. We will arrive in 3. Linda looked at Katie, then at the gathered dragons. "Then we work fast. You take whatever samples you need. Katie can help. She's studying xenobiology. She knows how biological systems interact." Katie felt a surge of pride mixed with terror. "I'm just a student, Mom." "You're my daughter," Linda said firmly. "And you're smart. If anyone can figure this out, it's you and these doctors working together." Admiral Sarenkoth placed a large hand on Linda's shoulder, careful of his claws. "You saved my warriors once before. Now you offer to save our entire world. The universe was wise to mark you as it did." "I haven't saved anything yet," Linda replied. "Let's get to work." The next 3 days were a blur. Katie worked alongside Dr. Zena and 2 other Drakari scientists, studying her mother's blood samples. They mapped the antibodies, ran simulations, tested theories. Katie's xenobiology classes had never covered anything like this, but the principles were similar. Identify the target, understand the mechanism, find the weakness. Meanwhile, the ship raced toward Krathvesh. Other Drakari vessels joined them, forming a fleet. Human ships appeared too, responding to the threat. For the first time in history, humans and Drakari were assembling a joint military force. On the 3rd day, as they approached the Drakari homeworld, Katie finally found it. A protein sequence in her mother's blood that could be weaponized. It wouldn't kill the collective, but it would scramble their targeting systems, make them unable to coordinate their attacks. "This is it," Katie said, exhausted but triumphant. She showed the data to Dr. Zena. The dragon doctor's eyes widened. Yes, this could work. But we need to produce it in large quantities, distribute it across the fleet." "How long?" Admiral Sarenkoth asked. 12 hours to synthesize enough for 1 ship. We would need every medical bay in the fleet working simultaneously to arm everyone in time." The Admiral nodded. "Make it happen. Send the formula to every ship, human and Drakari alike." As alarms blared and the crew prepared for battle, Katie looked at her mother. Linda was standing at a viewport, staring at the planet below. Krathvesh, the world they had fought to save 25 years ago, the world they would fight to save again. "You ready for this?" Katie asked softly. Linda smiled, tired but determined. "Let's finish what we started." The collective fleet arrived in a dark swarm that blotted out the stars. Thousands of ships, each one a biological machine fused with metal, all moving with terrible coordination. They approached Krathvesh like locusts descending on a field. Katie watched from the bridge of the flagship, her hands gripping the rail. Beside her, Linda stood with Admiral Sarenkoth and Commander Vexthai. The combined human and Drakari fleet numbered only 800 ships, They were outnumbered 3-1. "All ships report ready," a Dragon officer announced. "The disruption weapon is loaded and calibrated." "Human vessels acknowledge readiness as well," another officer added. "Captain Jake Morrison sends his regards." Katie's heart jumped. "Jake? My brother is here?" Linda smiled despite the tension. "I called him before we left. He pulled some strings to get his frigate assigned to the defense fleet. He wanted to be here." "Your family fights together," Admiral Sarenkoth said approvingly. "That is the Drakari way." The collective fleet opened fire first. Energy weapons and biological projectiles streaked across the darkness. The Allied fleet responded, ships spreading into defensive formations. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum of space. "Deploy the disruption field," the Admiral commanded. Every ship in the Allied fleet released Katie's weapon simultaneously. Clouds of protein particles spread through space like glowing mist. When the collective ships hit the fields, their precise formations wavered. Ships began drifting, firing randomly, colliding with each other. "It's working!" Katie shouted. "Their coordination is breaking down!" But the collective adapted quickly. The rear ships changed their approach, avoiding the disruption fields. They regrouped and pushed forward in a new pattern. "They're learning," Vexthai said grimly. "We bought ourselves time, but not victory." Linda studied the tactical display. 25 years had passed since Krathnor, but her instincts remained sharp. "There, do you see? The rear ships are controlling the advance. They're the command nodes. If we take them out, the others will lose direction." "Those ships are protected by the entire fleet," an officer protested. "We cannot reach them." "Yes, we can," Linda said. "The same way we did at Krathnor. Send a small, fast group through the center, draw their fire, create an opening for the main force to flank." Admiral Sarenkoth looked at her with respect. "You are suggesting a suicide run." "I'm suggesting a calculated risk," Linda corrected. "With better ships and better pilots than I had last time. And with one advantage we didn't have before." "What advantage?" Katie asked. "Me," Linda said. "I carry the antibodies naturally. My ship won't need the disruption weapon. I can fly straight through their formations without them targeting me properly. I'll be invisible to their systems." "Absolutely not," Katie said immediately. "Mom, you can't—" "I can and I will," Linda interrupted. "This is what I do, Katie. It's what I've always done." "Then I'm going with you," Vexthai said firmly. "As I should have 25 years ago. I will not let you fly alone this time." Admiral Sarenkoth nodded slowly. "I will lead the main force. When you create your opening, we will strike. But Linda Morrison, if you die heroically again, I will be very disappointed." Linda laughed, a sound that somehow cut through the fear. "I'll do my best to avoid it." Katie hugged her mother tightly. "Come back, please." "I promise," Linda whispered. "Now go to the medical bay. If this works, there will be wounded. They'll need your help." Katie wanted to argue, but she knew her mother was right. She squeezed Linda's hand one more time and left the bridge. Linda and Vexthai took a fast attack ship, one of the smallest in the fleet. It was built for speed and maneuverability, not for fighting. Perfect for what they needed to do. As they launched, Linda felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. Her hands moved over the controls like she had never stopped flying. Beside her, Vexthai handled weapons and navigation, his claws dancing across the displays. "Just like old times," Vexthai said. "Except with better equipment," Linda replied, "and someone to watch my back." They dove into the collective formation. Just as Linda predicted, the enemy ships ignored them. Their targeting systems couldn't lock on properly. The ship weaved through the swarm like a needle through fabric. 5 command nodes identified, Vexthai reported. "Marking targets." Linda pushed the ship harder. They fired at the first command node, damaging its communication arrays. The second one exploded when Vexthai's missiles hit its core. The third took evasive action, but Linda anticipated the move and stayed on it. 2 more, she said through gritted teeth. We can do this! But the collective weren't stupid. Even with disrupted targeting, they recognized the pattern. Ships began closing in, not trying to aim precisely, but simply filling the space with weapons fire. Too much incoming, Vexthai warned. We need to break off. Not yet, Linda said. 1 more. She flew straight at the 4th command node, ignoring the explosions around them. The ship shook from near misses. Alarms blared. At the last second, she rolled the ship and fired everything they had. The command node split apart in a silent explosion. That's 4, Vexthai said. The 5th is too far. We must retreat. The Admiral needs that 5th node down, Linda insisted. She saw it on her display, protected by layers of collective ships. Then she saw something else, a human frigate breaking formation and diving toward the 5th node. That's Jake's ship, Vexthai said, reading the transponder. Katie's brother was doing exactly what they had done, drawing fire and creating chaos. His frigate launched a full spread of missiles at the final command node. Most were destroyed, but 3 got through. The node erupted in flames. All command nodes destroyed, Vexthai announced. The collective fleet is losing cohesion. Linda saw the Allied fleet surge forward through the gaps they had created. Drakari and human ships fighting side by side, their combined firepower overwhelming the confused collective forces. Ship after ship exploded or retreated. The swarm was breaking apart. Let's get back, Linda said, exhausted. I'm getting too old for this. Vexthai laughed, a rumbling sound of relief and joy. You will never be too old for this. It is in your blood. They returned to the flagship to find celebration breaking out. The collective fleet was in full retreat. The defense of Krathvesh had succeeded. Katie rushed to embrace her mother as soon as the airlock opened. You did it, Katie said, crying and laughing at the same time. You crazy, wonderful woman. Jake was there too, slightly injured but grinning. Nice flying, Mom. You taught me everything I know. You scared me half to death, Linda said, hugging him tightly. Both of you did. Admiral Sarenkoth approached with the entire bridge crew behind him. Linda Morrison, your actions have saved my world twice now. There are no words sufficient. I wasn't alone, Linda said. My son, Commander Vexthai, the entire fleet. We all did this together. Which is precisely what makes this moment historic, the Admiral replied. Humans and Drakari have never fought together like this. Your daughter's scientific breakthrough, your tactical genius, your son's courage. This was not Drakari or human victory. This was our victory. Over the following days, the formal ceremonies took place on Krathvesh. Linda stood in the Hall of Heroes, where 3 statues had stood for 25 years. Statues of Linda Morrison, Alex Grant, and Emma Hayes. The statues were beautiful, carved from stone that seemed to glow from within. But now, living Linda stood beside her own memorial. Thousands of Drakari filled the hall. Human dignitaries had come as well, including Ambassador Collins and Captain Walker. Even the Emperor himself attended, a massive ancient dragon whose scales were pure silver. The Emperor spoke in a voice that echoed through the hall. 25 years ago, we honored 3 humans who gave their lives for our warriors. Today, we honor them again, knowing that 1 survived, and we honor 2 more. Katie Morrison, whose brilliant mind gave us the weapon we needed. Jake Morrison, whose courage in battle inspired our fleet. Katie and Jake stood beside their mother as new statues were unveiled. 5 figures now stood in the Hall of Heroes, a family of warriors, a symbol of what 2 species could accomplish together. Afterward, at a smaller private gathering, Admiral Sarenkoth presented Linda with a gift. It was a piece of metal from her original ship, recovered from Krathnor and preserved all these years. We never forgot, he said simply. Linda held the scarred metal, tears streaming down her face. Neither did I. Not for a single day. 3 months later, Katie stood in her apartment on New Haven, packing for her new job. She had been offered a position at the newly established Joint Research Facility, where human and Drakari scientists would work together. Her expertise in the collective's biology made her invaluable. Her mother stopped by with lunch, wearing her usual simple clothes. The woman who had saved 2 worlds twice over still preferred gardening on weekends and quiet evenings at home. But now she also served as an advisor to the new Human Drakari Alliance Council. Jake had been promoted and given command of a mixed-species frigate, the first of its kind. Change was happening fast. "You nervous about the new job?" Linda asked, unpacking sandwiches. "Terrified," Katie admitted, "but also excited. We're going to do real work. Maybe find a way to reprogram the collective instead of just fighting them. Turn them into something useful." "That's ambitious." "I learned from the best," Katie said, smiling at her mother. A knock at the door interrupted them. Commander Vexathai stood outside, now wearing the uniform of the Joint Defense Force. He had taken a position training human and Drakari pilots to work together. "I was passing by," he said. "Thought I would check on you before you leave for the facility." "Come in," Katie said. "We have extra sandwiches." The dragon squeezed into the apartment carefully. As they ate together, discussing the future and remembering the past, Katie looked at the small tattoo on her own arm. She had gotten it after the battle. A simplified version of her mother's mark, her own choice to honor the legacy, the mark of Krathnor, the mark of heroes, the mark of a new age. "You know what's funny?" Katie said. "This all started because I was working a normal shift at the diner, serving coffee and taking orders. And then 4 dragon warriors walked in." Vexathai's eyes glowed with amusement. "The universe works in mysterious ways. Sometimes the smallest moments change everything." "Well," Linda said, raising her coffee cup, "here's to small moments, and to the crazy adventures they lead to." They clinked cups together, human and Drakari, family and friends, warriors all. Outside the window, ships came and went from the spaceport. Some carried dragon scales, some carried human faces, and more carried both working side by side. The galaxy had changed, all because a young waitress noticed a tattoo and asked a simple question. Sometimes, that's all it takes to change the world.